Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to Potted Plant Entertainment. My name is Chris, and in case you don't know, I review movies, and I rank them on a scale of 0 to 100. Gosh, I can't talk with this. And I rank them on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Today, we are going to wrap up talking about Back to the Future with Back to the Future Part 3. I don't own a hard copy of this movie, so I don't have a picture here to show you, but we're going to be talking about Back to the Future Part 3. So I reviewed the first one, it was like one of my first reviews on this channel. And then yesterday I reviewed part 2. Okay. And I binge watched all 3 of the movies. I watched the first 2 the other night, and then last night, and then this morning I watched the third one. I just felt like binge watching the series again. But yeah, I love Back to the Future so much. It's one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time. All 3 of these movies are really, really good. So let's get into it. So Back to the Future Part 3 was released in 1990, and it stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Mary Steenburgen, Thomas F. Wilson, and Leah Thompson. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it was produced by Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, and Kathleen Kennedy. And in this movie, so we're going to talk a little bit about spoilers for Back to the Future Part 2. So at the end of the Back to the Future Part 2, the DeLorean is struck by lightning, and Doc Brown is in it, and it malfunctions, and it sends him back to 1885. Okay. Marty, he writes Marty a letter that is delivered to him at that exact moment when Doc Brown just got struck by lightning, and it says, "I'm here in 1885. I'm perfectly happy here. Don't come get me." Okay. Well, he finds out that he's going to get shot by Biff's ancestor, who is an outlaw during that time, and so he meets up with Doc Brown from 1955, because that's where they left off in 1955, and he's like, "Hey, I need your help to get to 1885 so I can save your future self from getting shot, or your future self that's now in the past from getting shot by Mad Dog Tannen." And so Doc Brown had the DeLorean hid away, and he told him how to find it. And so they go and they get the DeLorean, and Marty goes back to 1885 so he can try and bring Doc Brown back to the future and to keep him from getting shot. The problem is that when they get there, the fuel line breaks, and so they can't just drive off to the future. So they have to find a way to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour so that they can get back to 1985. And all the while, Doc Brown falls in love, and so that creates for something. And Marty creates some beef with Mad Dog Tannen, so that creates for some conflict as well. Yeah, but it's a really, really, really good movie. It's the weakest of the series for sure, but that's not saying much. It's a really, really, really good movie. So yeah, it takes place in the Old West, and that's one of my pros with it. Let's get into my first pro with it, is that it sets the time perfectly. It's just like how the first one does such a good job at making you believe they're in 1955. This movie does such a good job at making you believe they're in 1885. It really, really does a great job at setting that time period. The special effects are great. They still hold up. The special effects in this one are actually better than the special effects in the second one. And just as good as the special effects in the first one. Really, really good special effects that still hold up to this day. The music is incredible. This one actually has a different theme song from the first 2 movies. And it's really, really, it's Western, and it's fun. Look, if you haven't heard it, look up the Back to the Future Part 3 theme song. It's really, really awesome. All the music in this movie is great, but especially that theme song. It's so good. All the characters are great, fun, and unique. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, their chemistry is still there. Thomas F. Wilson does a great job once again as the villain. He's so good in this. He's just so good in all 3 of these movies. He's such a talented actor. I can't believe he didn't get much work outside of the Back to the Future series, because he's a really talented actor. It's a very exciting movie. Marty gets pulled on a horse by a rope and he's getting dragged across the ground. It's very suspenseful. When they're trying to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour at the end of this movie, it creates for some really, really good suspense. It's one of the most suspenseful scenes I've ever seen in a movie, is the ending of Back to the Future Part 3. Really, really great stuff. It's funny. It's got some good laughs in it. The cinematography is incredible. Just like all three of these movies have incredible cinematography. The romance in this movie between Doc Brown and the girl he meets, it isn't forced. I like it when in a movie when the romance feels natural, because it's like a Hollywood trope that you have to have romance in a movie, and sometimes they'll force it in there. Well, this movie, it doesn't feel forced at all. It actually is kind of welcomed. It has some pretty good callbacks to the second movie. You're going to have to go back and rewatch the series in order to notice them. But basically, the second movie gives you a couple of heads up to this movie that you might have forgotten about. So be on the lookout for that. And don't worry, this is a spoiler-free review, but at the end of this movie, the ravine has a different name. The ravine, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but the ravine in this movie that they keep talking about, it has a different name. There's a sign. Look at that sign. Notice that sign at the end of the movie, okay? At the end of the movie, the ravine has a different name, and it's a cool little detail that they threw in there, just like how the name of the mall changes at the end of the first movie. Well, the name of the ravine changes at the end of this movie. Be on the lookout for that. Really cool. Okay, let's get into my cons with this. So this has one of the same cons that the second movie had, is how all these people's relatives are exact clones of each other. I don't understand. Like, so in Back to the Future Part 2, Marty's son is a clone of Marty. Biff's grandson is a clone of Biff. Well, this movie has the same problem. Biff's, great-great-grandfather, whatever, is exact. He looks exactly like him. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, even Mr. Strickland, the teacher or the principal or whatever, even his ancestors in this movie, and he looks exactly like him. It makes no sense, and it also doesn't make any sense how all these people ancestors all live so close to each other. Like, why is it that the teacher or the principal of the school, his ancestor knew one of the students' ancestors? Like, why? That's such a weird coincidence. But other than that, I don't really have much of an issue with this. The script is a little bit weaker than the script in the second one and the first one as well, so that's another con with it. It's just not as good of a movie as the other two. But this is a really, really good movie. I love this movie, just like I love all the Back to the Future movies, and I'm going to give Back to the Future Part 3 a 90. This is a really, really, really good movie. If you haven't seen any of the Back to the Future movies, come on, man. Yeah. This is the worst one of the series, but again, that's not saying much because this is a really, really good movie. All three of these movies are great. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Pilot Planet Entertainment for more, and hit the like button. Leave movie review suggestions down in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram at Pilot Planet Entertainment for channel updates, and good day.